let's move on to our running back draft. We're going to do running backs this week and then wide receivers next week. Brandon, you have the first pick of this draft, and Shane, for the wide receiver draft, you will have the first pick. Here are all our players eligible, of course. This is all ESPN.com depth charts named the starters. And then we named 13 eligible backups: James White, J.K. Dobbins, Kareem Hunt, Duke Johnson, Jonathan Taylor, Phillip Lindsay, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tariq Cohen, Kerryon Johnson, Jamal Williams, Cam Akers, Tevin Coleman, and Rashad Penny. Brandon, you have the first pick of this draft.
I'm going with a pick that's pretty obvious to me. With the first pick in the first round, I select Christian McCaffrey.
That was my top running back on my board. Why are you selecting Christian McCaffrey?
Because he's a cheat code. I mean, there's not many running backs in the league that I will watch and he does something like insane every game. But that's Christian McCaffrey for me. I mean, I think I've told you this, Robert, but like he might be the only player in the league that I'd be willing for like the Seahawks to like just like send the house to get
sell
him.
Everything.
Just like all we need is Russell Wilson and Christian McCaffrey. That's it.
Christian came into the league as a receiving back. That was it.
Yeah.
That's why he was drafted where he was drafted. Then Carolina really developed his running game, and the big reason why he went number one, I think, is pretty simple, and why he's number one on all of our boards is he can do it all. He's not just a runner. He can catch the ball as well, and he truly developed his running game at the pro level.
Yeah. He's also a fantasy beast.
Yeah, for sure. Shane, why do you have a number one on your board? Is it for those same reasons?
Yeah, I mean, the dude had 116 receptions last year, like,
Yeah.
as a running back.
Which is
I mean,
nuts.
come on. Yeah. Not to mention he's also a great rusher.
Yeah.
He can power some guy. He can kind of be a power back. I mean, I feel like he's still a little bit more finesse, but he can still power guys, even though he's pretty small in stature, at least on the field.
Yeah, he had almost 2,400 yards altogether, total yards.
Jeez.
He also stays really healthy.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Health is certainly going to be a factor as we go through this list as well. Shane, you have the number 2 overall pick in the running back draft.
Well. We were talking about him earlier. We're going to go with the man Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry goes second overall. Give me your thought process on why he's number 2.
Well, I mean, there was a couple guys that I was considering, but, you look at him, I think he does something that a lot of other backs can't do, which is just constantly find a way to be a great power back, really consistent, and get the tough yards you need. I mean, the guy, I'm pretty sure, had the most rushing touchdowns last year with 16. And he had almost 1,600 yards rushing, which is insane. He is the Titans' offense, so he is number 2 for me.
What I love about him is the same thing that I love about McCaffrey, but even at a higher level. And that's why I had a tough time kind of figuring out where to put him on my list, because he's a guy where he's small in stature, but he is just a bulldozer. That's what this guy's game is just built off of, and he did that even in college at Alabama, and he's done it at another level in Tennessee, of course, getting that big contract. Brandon, your thoughts on Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I mean, I had Derrick Henry at 4, but he definitely, like as you said, Shane, he is the Tennessee Titans offense, and like I got very impressed by him. I've had him on my fantasy team like 4 years in a row, but he kind of like choked for me a lot, and then last year he just basically, I feel like he was told, just, you know what, get the ball, run straight, and run through people. And it worked out pretty well for them.
He was
So-
number 3 on my board. As you can't tell, this is going to be very fantasy specific because we are looking at these. We are looking at these running backs as, other than the quarterbacks, right, where we kind of have sort of an idea of how they play. With the running backs, we are looking at them specifically in how talented they are, more specific than just the quarterbacks and what they do for wins as well. I'm going to go with the number 1 consensus running back or number 1 consensus player in fantasy last season before Christian McCaffrey went off, and that is Saquon Barkley.
Yes.
Saquon was number 2 on my board. Again, Derrick Henry was 3. He is, as you guys said with the Titans offense, he is, to a much heightened degree, the Giants offense. He makes that offense run. He makes Daniel Jones better. He's just an all-around back, and he's pretty much everything for that offense now. And he's going to continue to do that. And yeah, there's risk of injury when that's the case, and he did get injured last year, but he is their guy, and he came into the league and immediately took the league on fire. So
Yeah.
that's why that would be my pick.
Yep, I like it.
Brandon, you're up with the 4th overall pick and the first pick of the second round.
Well, I am going with someone that we've talked about today, who backs up, who is the running back for America's team. I'm taking Ezekiel Elliott. He, as we've talked about, he makes Dak look even better very good when he's on the field. He had a very big season in 2018, and then he had an even more productive season in 2019. He had 12 rushing touchdowns, 78 first downs. Only Derrick Henry had more. And then he had 972 yards after contact, which was 4th in the league. And he did have less big plays in 2019, but he was more productive in his play. I think Ezekiel Elliott is honestly the guy that, like, everybody talks about, like, Dak in Dallas. Like, honestly, if I'm
Zeke.
Dallas, I'm focused on Zeke. Like, it's Zeke or bust. Like,
It's Zeke and Amari, man. That's
Yeah.
what makes that team run. Where did you have Zeke ranked on your board, Shane?
For me, about 3rd or 4th, yeah.
I had him 6th.
really?
Yeah. I was surprised that I had him out of my top 5. I have a few guys here that we'll come down the board and talk about, but I had him 6th. It's tough. I like him a lot. I don't know if it's the off-the-field issues. That's part of the reason he's here, but I like the other guys that I have ahead of him more. I think that their skill sets, just talent-wise, are much better, and they're more multidimensional.
Do you
But
think it's like Zeke fits better in Dallas or something with the line that he has, or?
that might be it as well, but I just like the skill sets of the 5 guys I have ahead of him more so, or I like the talent of these guys that I have ahead of him,
That's fair.
which I'm sure we'll get to some of those players as we go down the board. Yeah, so I had him at 6, which was a big surprise for me as I did this list. Shane, you're up with the second pick of the second round, 5th overall.
With the 5th overall pick, I will go with Dalvin Cook. The injuries are a little bit concerning to me, but for me, this is kind of it's a similar situation to the Cowboys, because to me, the offensive force on this team is Cook and Thielen, not necessarily Kirk Cousins. So, yeah, I mean, he was, at least statistically speaking, he was right up there with, Henry, McCaffrey, and Elliott. And, as long as he's healthy, I don't anticipate that changing. So, I'll take what I can get from him when he is playing and well.
Yeah, we'll see if he does play in 2020. Of course, with the contract holdout still being a huge story, even though it's died down in the last few weeks. As we've talked about, Kirk, as you just mentioned, Shane, Kirk Cousins is not the mainstay of this team. He's not what makes this team go, and the coaching staff knows that. It's all about the running game for Mike Zimmer's offense, and Dalvin Cook is just perfect for it, of course, when he's healthy. Brandon, what do you think of this selection?
Yeah. I feel like he gets a little hurt too much for me to put him that high. But I think I would have put him probably in like for me he would be in maybe like the 8 or 9 range. Just because of his injury concerns, but pure skill wise, yeah, I think 5 is fair.
He was number 4 on my board. And I'm going to pick the guy who's number 5 on my board. It's simple. This guy just kind of does it all. I mean, if you guys will watch some of this man's training videos, it's ridiculous how this guy trains. This guy, if you watch this guy train, it's more fun than about 80% of the league. The guy is focused on everything. The guy has incredible balance. And this is one thing that makes him one of the best running backs in the league, and at 5 for me. And that guy's Alvin Kamara. His balance is insane. I mean, he can move side to side so quickly. He's just someone that's so difficult to tackle, because when he looks like he's down, who can somehow find a way to get back up, he's like flipping the right stick down in Madden. I mean, he's just insane. And he's just one of my favorite guys to watch on and off the field when you're talking about his skill set. So for me, he goes here at number 6 overall. Anyone have any thoughts on that selection?
Yeah, I mean, Kamara is kind of strange for me because I sort of forget about him sometimes. Because, you look at that team and you always think of, like, Breeze and Michael Thomas or whatever. Like, no, this guy's really good too. Don't forget about him,
Yeah.
So, yeah.